That is December 12th, 2022. This is the regular monthly meeting of the Town Council. Can we all rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a roll call, please, Lisa.
Yes. Peter Drappo.
Here.
Dale Macklin.
Here.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Here.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Here.
Lee Trahan.
Here.
Everyone is present.
Before you proceed, Lisa, for the second month in a row, we have somebody on our staff here whose birthday it is. It happens to be Erica's, and I'm not going to say how old. She can, if she wants us. If she wants to.
29 for the 23rd
29.
time.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
It's actually also, Saturday was Councilor Trahan's birthday, yesterday was Councilor West's birthday, and Thursday, or no, Friday, is our clerk Lisa's birthday.
Okay. Leaves us all out, huh?
December's a party month.
Party.
Okay, Lisa?
Our first item is approval of minutes from previous meetings, and we have three. We have October 11th, November 14th, and November 21st.
I'll make a motion to approve October 11th, November 14th, and November 21st minutes of the meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All set?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
All of the minutes passed, 7-0. Our next item is communications, and did you want to go ahead with?
Yeah, we did have somebody show up tonight that wanted to say a few things. Our newly elected state senator, David LaFountain. Podium, Dave.
Thank you. It's good to be amongst old friends again. I just wanted to pass word on from the Senate, what's going on. We did meet. We had our swearing-in ceremony on the 7th. And for the first time, I think, ever, we got to business right away, so it was a short-lived ceremony. We brought up the emergency heating oil bill. It was a very long day, and eventually it failed the last step, which was in the Senate for approval before it went to the governor. And that's been talked about in all the media. But it's not dead. I believe it's going to be coming up again on January 4th. I believe the governor is going to get sworn in again on that day. So on the 4th or on the 5th, I believe that bill is going to come up again. I did want to mention to everybody, typically cloture for bill submission ends on December 16th, but that's been extended to the end of the month. So if anybody has any suggestions for bills, I'm working on several. Working on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce to increase the cap on what they can raise in there. And by doing that, there are others like the VFW, Maine Principals Association, working on how much money you can raise in 50-50 drawings because it's all in gambling under the domain of the state police. Also what they can make at their Christmas tree raffles or games of chance is what it comes under. So that's one bill. I'm also working with the situation in Fairfield with Megan Maloney, the district attorney, on how to change the laws so that they can actually take legal action against some of the juvenile issues that they've had. Something's been removed that ties their hands and can't press charges, so we're working on that. And there's other things in the works as well. So I'd say if there's something happening, in the town of Winslow that needs to be addressed in legislature, We don't have a whole lot of time to get bills in, but that's typical. And also, if there's any news, may ask about committee assignments. Those haven't been doled out yet. I've been told those will come out snail mail around Christmas. So I can't let you know who's in charge of what committee. Besides that, if there's no questions, that's all I have for you. All right, thank you.
We'd appreciate it, Dave, if you could keep us informed over the course of whatever.
What I'll do
Going
now,
on, I guess, with the concerns.
I'll reach out
of
to
the
you,
town.
Dale, let you know if I know something that you may be interested in, and I'd be happy to come back.
Thank you.
Alrighty, our next item is reports of committees and commissions.
Erica?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, esteemed counselors, members of the public. November is over, it's in the books, thank God. It was a rough month, but I hope everyone had a wonderful turkey day, got to spend some time with family, and got yourself nice and full on all of those delicious meals that we're lucky enough to have. Some of us did some volunteering, and if you were somebody who actually volunteered over the holidays to help with either soup kitchens or other charitable events, feeding those less fortunate, I appreciate that, and just want to thank you, all of those of you who did. Big news for election was, of course, or for November was the election, and again, congratulations to Lisa and her staff for running a smooth and efficient election, and thankfully, we had an orderly process with no significant upheaval at all. I read the names of those who participated last month, so I'm not going to read those again, but in my report is the names of everyone who helped, either by working the polls the day of, working absentee, or those people who helped us with the logistical things like setting up, tearing down, or just the officers who came by and made sure everything stayed peaceful during the day. So again, thank you to everyone, and congratulations, Lisa, on another successful election. November, the Facilities Committee met to review all of the proposals that we received for the study for the town facilities. Again, this is just a study, and it's only looking at what the best way to move forward is. The team that evaluated the submissions, we received 3 of them. There was a 9-member team to evaluate the RFP, which consisted of the 5 facility committee members, Gary Owen, Lynn Choate, Ellery Keene, Rocky Gravel, and Peter Drapo, as well as myself, the town manager, the fire and police chiefs, and the public works director. The lowest cost was Port City Architecture out of Portland at $42,217. Next highest was Haley Board out of Bangor at $48,730. And the highest submission was Artifacts A&E out of Massachusetts at $67,960. Price was a consideration in our deliberations, but not the only, it wasn't the overriding factor. The proposals also needed to show the qualifications of the firm to actually complete what we were looking for. So we evaluated things like their understanding, their firm qualifications, and what they indicated is their ability to actually complete the tasks at hand. So after adding in all of our review criteria, the contract was actually determined to be best given to Haley Ward, so that was the second highest price at $48,730. Among those firms, they were the only one that really had all services provided in-house, which was a good feature to most of the committee. They also had the best understanding of what we wanted to do, as well as the best plan for actually having public outreach going forward. So we felt that that was important as well. So last month, the council did vote to award that contract. Port City and I have been in contact, and we're going to be working on the actual contract that would go with that. But I have been approved to sign that contract not to exceed the $48,730. As pretty much everybody knows by this time, we did have our fire chief, Ron Rodriguez, his last official day of work was December 2nd. However, he took the last 3 weeks of his time as time off, and Deputy Chief Bolduc stepped into his shoes at that time. He's been at the helm since November 16th. I just want to say that I'm extremely pleased with his performance to date. He has done a wonderful job, morale's great, and operations have continued without a blip on the radar as far as any kind of decline in the service that we're providing to our residents. So I just want to tell him, great job. And lastly, I want to congratulate the Children's Discovery Museum, the town of Waterville, and our own town staff, headed up by Parks Director Amanda McCaslin, on a hugely successful Parade of Lights. If you guys couldn't go to the Parade of Lights, the videos are on my timeline on my town manager Facebook page. I'm not sure if they were shared out to the city one, but there are also some on the Parks and Rec Facebook page. It was a great time. This was our first year participating in the full event. Last year we had some activities and the reindeer were there for an hour and a half, but the parade itself didn't come onto this side of the river. This year we're a full participant. It started at the high school and then went all the way down past our town office. We had activities down in Parks and Rec. We had popcorn and hot chocolate. We had the reindeer for 2 hours. We had the radio station broadcasting from our parking lot, so that was a nice thing to bring attention to our town. And we had the Grinch here for the entire event, and he was riding in the bucket of the ladder truck was kind of a nice touch, I thought, with the Grinch riding down the road. So at the end of the parade, Santa stopped to light our gazebo, and it's gorgeous. I want to send out special thanks to Amanda for heading this up on the Winslow side and coordinating everyone. I also want to say thank you to Elizabeth Balk, who took on designing and decorating the gazebo as her high school community service project. And thanks to all the police and fire personnel who not everyone only kept everyone safe, but also decorated their vehicles and participated in the parade. And next year, I want to see a plow truck in there. I think that's, I'm Public Works at heart, so I want to see that plow truck. That would be a great addition next year. So it was a great time. That's all I have for my report this month. I did want to read one public comment that that was about the parade, and just to highlight why these things are important. And this came in as a Facebook message, but this is from Angel Halley, and she wanted us to know, she said, I wanted to say thank you for stepping up Christmas in our town. A little more surprises every year. Thank you because you help make my Christmas special. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make a lot of people's Christmases special here in Winslow, and try to have more of these community events and bring people together and just brighten up what can be kind of a tough time for some people, a tough time of year, but also for just everybody to get together and just have a great time. And good job to everybody who participated. That's all I have.
Thank you, Erica. Any questions, Council?
Yes. How's the DOT coming along with the bridge?
The contract has been awarded, still looking at spring timeline for start.
That's it.
Anything else, Council? Any other department heads? Chief? Paul? No? Peter, you up?
Good evening. You may have seen something in the paper titled Admit in a Day that Winslow High School participates in. So we had our annual Admit in a Day for our seniors. Admission representatives from UMaine, Husson, Thomas, KVCC, UMF, and UMA were at the high school. Gave students on-the-spot admission decisions as well as feedback on their applications. This is one shot in time. They will have other opportunities as well. However, it's impressive to note that out of the 61 students, 61 out of the 101 seniors who participated scheduled 117 admission appointments for application review. We're pleased to report that 100% of the 61 students who participated were admitted. in one of the schools that was there. Perhaps even more impressive, there was a total of a little over $2 million in merit scholarship money awarded to students if they decided to go to those schools for 4 years. So that's very impressive. It speaks highly of our kids being prepared to go on, to be able to participate and be admitted on the spot. Last year, in class of the 2022, we had 50% of our students last year go on to 4-year colleges. We had 23% of our kids go on to 2-year colleges. We had 4% of our students go on to the military, and 23% enter the workforce. So, around 80% of our students continue with some sort of secondary, which is good. This evening I had the pleasure of attending the National Honor Society inductee ceremony. 8 to 10 students were inducted. It's a combination of academics, and it's a combination of exceptional qualities as a person. And it does your heart good to listen to these young people talk about qualities such as leadership and character. Because when you think about the future of the world, you think about the future leaders in America, it makes you feel really good to see our students here in Winslow speak the way that they do at this particular ceremony. On a more lighter note, the winter sports season is underway. I encourage you to go online, look at the sports schedule if you want to attend a game. Holiday concerts are coming up this week. Again, go online. Each of the schools has a different concert that's coming along. And you may have seen another article, a quick article. It's a little behind the times, but we haven't really had anybody reporting from Winslow for the last couple of years. They just did a quick update on our construction project. It's come along nicely. We don't anticipate any issues, and we anticipate to be completed on time. Thank you.
Any questions from the council? Being none?
No. My question is does the school have a contingency plan regarding communicable diseases? Basically, the flu, COVID, and the third one I can't remember.
RSV, yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Like all schools, we are struggling right now. Last week at the elementary school, we had 147 students out. We had 21 staff members out. It was very difficult to keep things going, but we managed to keep things going. That's about 23% of our population in that particular building. When you reach 15%, you have to report to the state. You have conversations with the state in terms of what it is that you're doing in order to curb, the flus and sickness that you might have in your building. Right now, the state is not recommending anything except to continue to monitor, to continue to do cleanliness, hygiene, keep your schools as clean as you possibly can. Our numbers dropped a little bit today, so we're monitoring it closely, Jerry. It's about all that we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
I'm not sure what's up with that chair, so you might wait.
That's it for reports. Lisa?
It is, we need a motion.
So move.
Second.
All right.
Lisa?
Peter Drapo?
Yes.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Querian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
All reports passed 7-0. Our next item is public comment.
This is the part of our meeting where any member of the public can speak for 3 minutes on any topic that is not on tonight's agenda. Is there any member of the public who would like to speak for 3 minutes? Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's on an agenda or not.
What's the topic of your
The lawn
comments?
thing,
Pardon?
the lawn, we're gonna try to keep people's lawns mowed.
Okay, that's not on the agenda, but you have 3 minutes.
Okay,
Peter?
I don't understand that. You've got Bay Street with 8 feet of creosote railroad ties sitting there for how many years, and we're not taking care of that? We got a junkyard on the China Road? The garage on base, across from McDonald's, is starting to look like a junkyard. Are we doing anything about that stuff? but we're worried about people's lawns. I don't know what else to say, but that's, to me, it's ridiculous.
If that's a question, sir, I can answer that for you. In the past, we have not had an ordinance that allowed us to enforce these issues.
Yeah?
There was nothing on the books. This ordinance does that. We have an ordinance on the books now that should cover those things that you mentioned. And once it becomes effective, I forget the effective date of that. April 1st. Once it becomes effective, then we have something that we can use to enforce all of these issues that you just mentioned. It's not only the grass, it's everything.
Well, but the grass thing is, there's people out there that can't mow their lawn,
Mhm.
that aren't healthy enough, or don't have the money, don't have the piece of equipment to do it.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to point out, I just think it's ridiculous that we're going after that. That's all I got to say.
You have to get name and, you can get the name.
Oh, excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
I didn't get your name.
Louis Bourgeois,
Louis. How do you spell your last name, Louis?
Bourgeois.
Okay.
I've been a resident of Winslow for over 40 years.
Yeah, and thank you for your comment, sir.
Yeah.
Is there any other member of the public who would like to speak? Well, there being none, we will close the public comment portion of our meeting.
Next item is tabled business, ordinance number 14-2022, providing for an amendment to the Winslow zoning map to rezone the following lot on tax map 15, lot 12, located at 120 Augusta Road, from high-density residential to mixed use.
Make a motion to take that off the table.
Second.
Okay, roll
Lisa?
call on that is Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Sherry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Open for discussion. We received tonight from the planning board that the planning board has recommended to the council that this ordinance be approved. Any discussion among the council? We discussed it at previous meetings on what the issues were. No discussion? Lisa, roll call?
Motion to approve it.
So move.
Second.
Sorry,
Who was second?
Jerry.
Jeff.
Jeff.
Jeff, thank you. Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
First reading passes 7-0. Okay. Next item is new business. Order number 31-2022, providing for authorization for the tax collector and/or treasurer to apply any tax payment received to the oldest unpaid tax bill with interest paid first, provided, however, that no such payment shall be applied to any tax for which an abatement, application, or appeal is pending unless approved in writing by the taxpayer.
So moved.
Second.
Erica, can you give us an explanation on that?
Basically, what this does is it formalizes the procedure that's already in place, but we have not had a written document that says this is how tax payments would be applied. This prevents somebody who has outstanding taxes that may be years, months or years in arrears from paying the current bill and having the oldest bill still remain unpaid. As we do have a couple of people in that situation, but there's one in particular that we're in the middle of attempting to collect. So that's the purpose behind this.
Any discussion with the council? Everything's fine. Erica, Lisa, roll call?
Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
First reading passes 7-0.
Is there a need to waive the second reading?
No.
No, okay.
Our next item is resolution number 37-2022, providing for pole location permit, Central Maine Power Company and Consolidated Communications of Northern New England Company, LLC, work order number 801-000-490008.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Where is this, whole permit located?
It's at the intersection of the Garland Road and the China Road.
Okay.
Lisa, roll call?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0.
Is that, that's the first read, is there any necessity, Paul?
It's
Oh, it's a resolution, sorry.
Okay, next item is resolution number 38-2022, providing for application for an on-premise liquor license renewal by the Point After Incorporated at 252 China Road, Winslow, Maine.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Lisa, roll call?
Peter Drappo.
Yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Kurian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Next item up is, before I read it, I just want to make a clarification that on the agenda, it is written incorrectly. It says authorizing the town manager. The resolution is written correctly stating authorization for the interim fire chief. So it is resolution number 39-2022, providing for authorization for the interim fire chief to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Kennebec County EMA to have GPS locators placed in Winslow ambulances at no cost to the town.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question for Scott, if possible,
Yeah,
please.
go ahead.
Scott, is this gonna give us the ability to also see the location of the ambulances?
Good evening. Your question, yeah, so we have an app. It provides an app. It can be on the phone or a tablet, and it does locate our ambulances along with other ambulances in the area.
Okay.
It's kind of like a, I don't like the word regionalization, but it will show, we'll use Waterville, if they're doing a transfer to Portland, their other truck goes out on an EMS call. Winslow's truck's coming back to Winslow from there, and another emergency comes in, they'll see our ambulance, and the ambulance is closer, and they'll dispatch us to that call. In the agreement with the MOU, it's a free service, and it's non-punitive, so.
No, I was just wondering if, I have such an app for my trucks, but I can go on the app and see where they are on an overlay of a map and give them, so it gives you that same
Yes.
opportunity? Great. Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And it's for, if I may, it's for just the dispatcher to use primarily the call center and the firehouses
correct,
themselves?
yeah. That is correct.
Okay.
Is this something in the future they're gonna use for fire trucks too, or?
Good question.
Pretty much know where a fire truck.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, the same purpose though, I mean.
That is a good question, and I don't see why not, but
It would only make sense, I would think.
nothing
if
has come
that's-
out for that.
Question.
Yes, Lee?
Other than the dispatcher and
and the firehouse having access. Potentially, could it be expanded and maybe used in a regionalization kind of situation?
Sure,
where,
absolutely.
you know, a higher level might, maybe say the state EMS service might want to track maybe how long an ambulance is at a certain location.
I can track all of that right now. I can tell you that the departments that are using it, and Winslow will be using it, Waterville uses it, Gardner uses it, Clinton uses it, and I can see where all their ambulances are. It updates every 15 seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Anything further with the council? Lisa?
Peter Grappo.
Yes.
Dale Mapley.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 40-2022, providing for authorization for the town council to set a fee for notary public services requested by non-residents.
So moved.
Second.
And I left it, I'm sorry, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sorry. Through the chair. I put out a survey amongst other city and town clerks to find out what they were charging. So I left it blank on the resolution for you to set the amount. Based on what I'm seeing, I think the most fair thing would be a $5 fee per document. Some places charge per signature, which I think is a little excessive, but I think $5 per document for non-residents would be fair.
I'll make a
Discussion?
go ahead.
Lee?
Ray, you
I
wanna?
think we need to make a motion first, right, for the $5.
Amend the
Yeah,
motion.
I'll
And then-
whatever.
then we'll have a
Discuss it,
discussion.
discuss it, then make a motion.
Whatever you want to do.
Well, let's have a discussion.
Okay.
Lisa,
Yes.
in some cases, how much time is tied up to notarize a document, roughly?
5 minutes, roughly. It depends. I mean, every document that comes through is different. None of them are the same. I recently did one for passports. That takes a little extra time, you know, stuff like that. But mostly it's fairly straightforward. It could be living wills, it could be divorce papers, could be custody stuff, could be just about anything that comes through.
And this charge is for non-residents only?
Non-residents only.
For residents, there's no charge?
Residents is no fee.
I don't see where you get anything done for $5.
I know, I think it's fair.
What's that?
I think it's fair.
I think it's ridiculously low. I do. I mean, we're gonna take you away from what you're doing to spend anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. Because you have to read everything on a document to notarize it.
And we're basically notarizing signature. We verify the person in front of us.
Oh, you don't have to read the
No,
document?
I ask them, do you understand what you're signing, and are you signing it at your own free will? That's our basic questions, and once they say yes, we notarize it.
You guys think $5, I mean,
How many pages is a typical document that you
It
do?
depends. I mean, it can be several.
So it's
If
$5 per page, you're saying?
It would be $5 per document.
Document, all
So
right.
if they had multiple documents, I would charge them $10. But if it's one document and we're signing multiple places, $5. Some towns are charging per signature.
and what are they charging?
It can be $5 or more. One
Per
town was
signature.
charging $20 for the entire thing.
Yeah.
Waterville does $10.
Again, for residents, I'm all great with charging nothing.
Yeah.
But, you know, somebody walking in off the street that doesn't want to be bothered going to the bank or going to their attorney's office or don't have an attorney, whatever. But I just think he's, you know,
Mhm.
How many a week are you doing, like, average, you know?
It depends. I mean, easily I would say probably close between 8 and 10, sometimes a dozen a week. I mean, sometimes it seems like that's all we do.
How many of
And
them
it
are
is-
out-of-town people though and not residents?
I'd say it's almost split, because other towns know that we will do it. Yeah. So we'll see people pass through.
I
Fairfield charges, Waterville charges.
The only close one here, I don't see Oakland on here, but the two closest towns charge, one $5 and one $10.
I would say a minimum of $10. I'd like to see $25. You're pulling an employee away from her duties, then I want to be clear, residents are no charge. They pay their taxes and they deserve to have services, but non-residents,
Some towns don't, there's a few on there that don't even provide it for non-residents.
Yeah. Any other comments? My thoughts on this is you go by the, probably non-residents come to Winslow because we don't charge. I'm sure that's part of it. Waterville's 10, Fairfield's 5. I think maybe 25 is pushing it a bit, but I'd certainly go 10.
Make a motion, we go 10.
Second that motion.
Now, if somebody comes in that's a non-resident but has documents for a residence, that came up recently in my situation where the resident was in Winslow, but the caretaker was, the power of attorney was somebody from another town, but the resident was in Winslow. That
Well,
would
that'd be
mean
a
we would have to
Yeah, we would
charge.
be respectful of that, yeah. We would definitely be respectful of that. Yep.
Okay. That would
It's a
be-
resident service, the service for the resident.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion for $10? Lisa, we'll have a roll call?
Peter Drapo,
yes.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion,
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Drapo.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
It passes 5-0. We have moved now on to discussion items, and our first item is streetlights.
Point of order, just a
Oh,
moment.
I'm
No,
sorry.
we gotta go,
I
we
think we
gotta go
only
back.
voted on the
The-
amendment.
the
We didn't
amendment.
vote
Oh,
to
whoops,
actually
hello, I
approve
went right
the...
past it. Hold right on. I'm way ahead. I'm cruising through the meeting. Oh, so we did the motion to do the amendment, now motion to approve the resolution. Peter Drapo?
No,
No. Dale
I
Macklin?
think it's ridiculous.
Yes.
Jerry Clarion?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel?
Yes.
Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
All right, so amendment passes 7-0, resolution passes 6-1.
And that's at a $10 fee.
And that is at a $10 fee, and I think that's very good. Now, discussion items. We are up to streetlights.
This is an item that I requested be put on the agenda. Last July, Alan Bushy requested a street light at his place of business on Benton Avenue. We had a discussion on it at that time. For whatever reason, things slipped through, and he called me last week and wanted to know the status of it, and I told him we would put it on the agenda for this month to have a discussion on a street light in front of his business. The street light he's requesting is across the road, not the one in the parking lot. He used to have the meat market there. Now it's all residential apartment units and whatever, so there's more traffic, residential traffic at nighttime now because of the apartment units. And it's on for the discussion for tonight.
If I could-
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason that we brought it back, and when I say we, I mean between the Public Works Director and the Police Chief and I, is that there is a standard accepted procedure for placing streetlights, which is in the rural areas at every intersection. We have denied others with this same request recently even, based on that protocol. It's not written in stone, But the procedure is supposed to be that we go to the Public Safety Committee, not to be confused with the Employee Safety Committee, which is supposed to consist of 3 residents and the police chief and the fire chief. Back when we first looked at this, this was before Chief Rodriguez's departure. Chief Rodriguez went to look at the area, as did Chief McDade. To my recollection, Chief McDade recommended it. Chief Rodriguez did not. Then in talking with our Public Works Director, he brought up the other concerns. The concerns are, what is our criteria for granting this one when we have denied others? It's not any darker than anywhere else in the more rural areas of town or the outlying areas of town. We also have residents that specifically came when we did have the discussion in August regarding this light that came and told the clerk that they hoped this did not pass because they didn't want it. So we've got approximately 1 property owner who wants it and 4 to 5 residents who do not. We have requests every summer to turn out the street lights in the outlying areas due to brown tail moth, which we also don't grant. And we have a portion of the population that is pressing for dark sky compliant lighting and limiting light pollution. So there's a lot of different interests at play. I think it needs to be considered carefully by council, the precedent that's being set, because I believe if you arbitrarily grant this one and we haven't granted the other ones, that we're gonna start putting streetlights in a lot of places, and we're going to start spending a lot more money than we ever have in the past. There has to be a criteria for why we place lights, not just that somebody asked and is being insistent that they need one. That's why the safety committee is out there. Now, admittedly, the 3 citizen members have expired, and we are in the process of reestablishing that committee. But in the absence of that, we had the 2 chiefs. Chief McDade has since recanted his approval of the street light in that area, understanding the other challenges. And, you know, I think between, you've got the Public Works Director and the Police Chief here, it might be good to hear from both of them. But I'm just concerned that we are setting an arbitrary precedent and not considering the right things in granting this request. That's why I wanted to have more discussion on this particular item.
Council discussion?
Through the chair.
Yes, Peter?
I'm aware of this situation. Tonight was the second night I took a ride out through there. As far as having streetlights just at intersections is not true. There's one in front of the Hapworth Farm, there's one in front of Winslow Supply, there's one in front of Big G's. That all being said, Mr. Bushy is a landlord, keeps very good care of his property, and as far as we know, pays his taxes on time. I, for one, have no problem putting a street light in front of that drive. It's dark as a pocket. He's got 7 units there that have to come out onto Benton Avenue, go back into the drive from Benton Avenue. As Jeff said at the last meeting, I don't see a problem with the council making a decision and taking each case on a case-by-case basis.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
Paul, do you know how many of those streetlights are privately owned and how many we own?
The ones that Councilor Grapple mentioned, I think they're all ours.
Okay.
If they're LEDs, they're all ours.
I know they are. I mean, they're on the
And those are the ones we replaced that were existing.
So they were grandfathered?
They were all grandfathered. And we added probably 5 new ones, and we did conversion. A couple of intersections that had no lights. I think one of them was on Hurd Street. A couple of those areas that were really dark.
I mean, those are just the ones, Paul, that I counted tonight, going out to Allen's and back. I mean, I don't have a problem riding around town, and I'm sure you know a lot of streetlights also that are not just at intersections.
Well, you're on the Benton Avenue, that's pretty much the business district from, Big G's coming to town. But if you go up, I come up through Smiley, or Franklin tonight, there's pretty much only some on Franklin at the intersections of
It could be, but
Woodlawn and those things too. So I really don't, it doesn't bother me one way or the other. I mean, I just passed on the request. But we do have to follow some type of rules or whatever criteria to grant them, and that's why that safety committee was supposed to be, usually they were the ones that process these requests and made a recommendation to the council.
Anything else, Rocky?
I would like to see criteria, I think, drawn up first, and that way we can address it evenly, so that everybody's playing by the same rules. I can sympathize with Mr. Bushy that in his case, he definitely might need one there, but, I mean, everybody's gotta have, know what the criteria is, so we don't have this issue come up, and we have to bring it up every meeting.
Right?
Yeah, well, if it's a safety issue, it's a safety issue. I don't want to wait around for a committee to make those. We have the fire chief, we have the police chief, and we have Paul and other people that decision for us. Safety issue, then we should act on it. And,
Wait till he's finished.
if it is a safety issue, which I believe that's what that's been requested, that would be, something that I think, who knows when that committee's going to be, and we have taken some time. I know the area, obviously, we drive through the area a few times. Up there in that dip, when you come up on top, it's, people, it is an area of concern.
Where do we draw the line, once you start giving one person without criteria?
I understand that, but if the police chief and the fire chief and the public works thinks it's a safety issue.
But they
Did
said
they
did
said
not.
it wasn't?
No, that's what I understand that, and that's what I'm,
Irregardless, we should have criteria made up.
I think, go ahead, Dale, I'm done.
Well, let's hear from them.
Yeah.
Alan, podium. Please state your name.
Alan Bushy. This makes me nervous, but I want to thank the fire chief and the police chief because I had my business there for 30 years, and thank God things went well. But now I turned my store into 3 apartments. I actually have 8 apartments there, plus my home. And I have elderly people that are even on oxygen. And for the last, I want to say 2-3 months ago, I've had rescue. Of course, they come with Delta, they come with the fire truck. And they don't know where they're going. They probably could see a lot better. You probably remember that. And for my neighbors saying they don't want it, I don't believe you. I've talked to my neighbors. My neighbors are my tenants. I got one guy across the street, I just talked to him, he's fine. My neighbor to the right, Dave Bragg, you guys know him. I'm leery with him living next door. It just, be safer. You think I want him ripping off my Cadillac converter? No. It's not a funny situation. You got any questions for me? I can gladly answer them.
We don't have questions, Alan. We'll have further discussion among the council.
And you can ask Delta when they came, the ambulance, they had a hard time finding a place.
Any comment from the council?
I'd like to hear from Paul and Len, and we've heard from Paul and from Scott. Well, we're being told you're against this, and I'd, for one, like to know why.
I can't remember exactly what I said at the last meeting. Well, it was quite a while ago. I think it was like 7 months ago or something, if I remember correctly. I know when I went out and looked at it, I thought it was dark out there, and it could be a problem. And I passed it on, and then we pretty much had a discussion where it wasn't normally done that way, so. And being new to the town at the time, but I did think it was dark out there when I went by there, so.
Thank you.
And I can't remember my exact wording.
Next door. It's scary.
I haven't had an opportunity to go look at the area. I know where the area is. I drive that to and from home to work. So when I leave here tonight, I'll evaluate it for myself and send an email to the town manager on what my opinion is. So.
Thank you.
Any further comment from council?
Well, my comment is let's look at it, if we need to, get a committee put together, write it up, that will cover the whole town, not just one area. Because we could spend a lot more money than we expect. Not only on one light, but we could set a precedent that we wouldn't like. I know there is a safety issue because it's dark. That safety issue, who will make that decision? How dark it is, where the light's gonna go, and a few other things. I'm all done.
Who is the safety committee?
Alan, we'll answer it. I think Erica did. The public works director? No. Police chief? Fire chief? And 3 citizens that are appointed by
The council.
the council. And from what Erica said tonight, the 3 citizen positions are vacant.
Okay, I'm sorry, then I thought it was my neighbors you talked to, I didn't know.
Can,
Yes, Peter?
through the chair. As Ray pointed out, by the time we form a committee, go through all of this, we're gonna be back in July, August of next year. I don't understand why the council is not capable of going to look at such things and make a decision. None of us have a site issue. I rode out there through there tonight and last Wednesday night and made a determination. I don't think we're stupid people. And secondly, I think we're capable of making decisions when it comes to something like this. And Mr. Bushy has been asking for how long now? Alan, when did you first ask to have this looked over?
Late spring, maybe early summer?
It was on, first time it was on the council's agenda was for a discussion in July, at our July meeting.
Again, Jeff made the comment at the last discussion to take it on a case-by-case basis. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we can put a committee back together and print up a 20-page criteria as to what it takes to have the town put a street light up. But I think an apartment complex with 8 families living in it fits the bill.
Last communication from me is, in this particular case, since it's been so long, we don't have a committee formed. Any future type of street light decisions need to go through, we need to get this committee, needs to go through that committee. For this particular request, I think once we get the police chiefs, the fire chiefs written, or whatever, official stand on the street light, and ask the neighbors too, that, again, documented, that they don't have any objections to it, then I think we can make a decision on that at the next meeting. This would be a just a one-time decision-making deal by the council? And of course, Erica, your opinion on it too. And then going future, we would obviously use that committee. Go ahead, I know.
If I may, Ray, I don't have an opinion on it. What my worry is about process and having an equal process that's applied to anybody who wants to request this light. And we have at least 2 requests. There's one gentleman sitting right there who made one and was denied out of hand. It never came before the council. And I'm not suggesting that we put this one back through a new safety committee at all. The safety committee, as it sat at the time the request was made, is just our 2 chiefs, because that's all we've got.
Right.
We're not going to wait to confirm that we've reappointed the 3 people who volunteered in the past, or maybe they don't even want to all serve anymore. Lisa's working on that right now. But it's another check and balance is what it is. And I just have a problem with decisions that are made that may result in future unintended consequences. And all due respect to all of you as council members, I know you're all smart. I know you can look at a place and say whether it's dark or not. What often elected bodies do is make decisions that result in long-term liabilities that you don't necessarily think of at the time. That's why we have these additional steps, and that's why it's a good idea to have criteria for when we will consider a streetlight request. And I don't have a dog in the hunt as far as whether you guys put a light out here or not. All I'm saying is there are going to be calls immediately that come forward as to why didn't you approve mine? So then my question to you is, do you want me to put all of them before you at every meeting? Or do you want the safety committee to do its job and make a determination as to whether they should be recommending it for council or not? So that's all I'm saying, is just that we should have an equal footing when people make these requests.
Who
Through the chair.
was denied?
My question is there anything, as far as zoning or whatever, that the owner themselves cannot put their own light up?
No, they can put their own light up.
I have 2 in my yard that light up the road, that light up the whole neighborhood.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so why doesn't the property owner put their own light up? Why should the town? I'm just throwing that out there. Devil's advocate.
My thoughts on this are this. This was asked for 6 months ago. I've been by there a number of times, daylight and darkness. And it's my opinion that that place could use a street light, especially since it's gone to residential use, entirely residential, with a lot more traffic after dark because of the apartments there. The issue of having criteria in that, I agree with that going forward. I think for now, we concentrate on this specific one. And we as councilors can make that decision. We have the ability to make that decision. We know what that place out there looks like. Going forward, a safety committee, if a safety committee can be put together, fine. And criteria drawn up, fine. That process, who knows? That process could take months. But I think in this particular instance, because it's been going on so long, I would recommend that a street light be put at that location. Not the one in the parking lot, the one across the street.
That's my recommendation. What does it have to be,
It has to
Erica?
come back as a resolution.
As a resolution,
Yes.
one-time resolution
One-time vote,
for
so-
next month?
Can I just throw one other thing on this
Yes,
committee going forward? Personally, the 3 most knowledgeable people for that job would be fire, police, and our public works director. Just my opinion.
And any citizens?
If you want to throw a couple in there,
I
so
don't
be
know why
it.
citizens were.
But I'd like to at least see those 3 department heads on that committee, because they all deal with it on a daily basis.
With those 3 department heads forming the committee,
I think that's
well,
all we need,
the thing-
myself.
I do
but-
too.
Well, 3 is an odd number, so
And the thing
that
with,
fits in.
the thing with that is you can always ask them to go do it. Getting citizens together to sit on a committee and give them a list of street addresses to go look at for, you know, unless they're CMP workers or, you know, blind people that understand what it takes.
Should this be another discussion, the safety committee thing? This isn't really.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's another, for tonight, Rocky.
I second the motion to send it to the next meeting for a vote. On Mr. Bushy's request.
So the motion was to recommend that it go to our January meeting as a resolution to be voted on. Is that the consent of the council?
Yes, and I will say, I would need the approval of the Public Works, the Fire Department, Police Department before I voted.
I'm assuming they'll be available when we vote on the resolution, during the discussion of the resolution. They'll be available to offer their opinions,
Yep.
as well as any other members of the public.
And I do see value, a lot of value, in citizens on the safety committee. I see a tremendous amount of value with that, because I think that's needed.
The safety committee was established, well, that's getting beyond, the safety committee was established by the council.
Yes, and I'm not sure, I have Lisa looking for it because we don't know how long ago or whether it was established by order.
Yeah, I
We don't
couldn't-
find it in
yeah,
ordinance, so I'm guessing Mr. Fountain.
For a historical perspective. When I got on, 13, 14 years ago, there were 3 citizens on the committee that were elderly. They never assisted with making determination that these like requests have been coming for years. Who made the decision was basically Chief Fettelson, myself, and Frank, the code enforcement officer. So Public Works Director, you know, may be a good substitute for that. But it was basically a decision that was made by seat of the pants, by the safety people, and I think the biggest factor we considered was how close is the next street light.
And that may be true, but my predecessor is telling me that it went to the safety committee.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So,
But the civilian part of that committee never did that.
The makeup of the committee, we can discuss that in these rules, but criteria, I agree, criteria should be set up in the future. Right now, for tonight's purpose, the motion is to recommend a street light be at that location. Going forward, that will be put on as a resolution and for our January meeting, at which time we can get reports from fire, police, public works on what their recommendations are. But that's the point where we're at right now.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then in January, at our January meeting, we will have a full discussion with all information available. And we will take a vote at our January meeting, unless we otherwise table or postpone the vote. Is that the consensus of the council?
Yes, it is for me.
Jeff? Lee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Eric, if we change that and add, say, Paul to that committee, does that have to go through as a resolution or order or anything to make the change?
I'm not 100% sure because I don't know how it was done in the first place as far as what established that. So we need to pull that and then we can figure out what has to be done.
If we can find that out before January, can we get that on the agenda as well to vote on, to get that through to add?
Would it make sense to have the code enforcement too? I mean, if there's a code issue, I mean, probably wouldn't hurt to have him
Then you're back to even numbers.
and town manager.
She doesn't want it.
Three's a good round
Three's
number,
fine.
and they're easily available.
Again, I see value in citizens on the committee.
Yeah, we definitely should have.
2 citizens, make it a 5-member committee with 2 citizens.
Can we talk about this at the next meeting?
Yes, we can.
Erica, you got any idea what CMP and else is for street?
We get a lump sum bill, so I would have to look, I have to do a little research into exactly what the per,
I've got 2 400-watt halogen units. They charge me $28 a month, and they own them. So part of that, that's not just the power usage, but that's part of the
Right.
rental as well.
we do
So
get
I'm-
a service fee that is a per unit charge that is flat, and then there's an electricity charge, which is actually quite a bit less than the per unit
Yep. charge.
but I don't know exactly
They
what.
used to, years back now, they used to be, when I was in the business, they charged the towns $6 per unit. That included the maintenance and the power.
Because we went to the LEDs, that was supposed to say.
Well, we
that
own
grant.
them now, though.
Huh?
We own ours now.
Okay, so
Because we had
I
that
don't know,
grant
that's why I asked.
to replace them all.
Yeah, there's still a per unit service
Per
fee that
unit.
goes into that, but I
Right.
don't know. I
You
have
gotta-
to do some
Yeah, you
research
just,
on
at
it.
that point, the maintenance fee goes away and the pole rental comes into play, so it's probably a
Okay.
wash. If we own them, we're paying pole rental. Anyway,
We're gonna research.
let's carry on.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it on the
Yes.
streetlights discussion. Lisa, next discussion
The
item?
next item is Spirit of America Award.
Erica?
So this is just so that you all can start considering who you might want to nominate this year for Spirit of America. Bruce Flaherty just reached out to us. They're starting to get communities to start thinking about who they want to nominate this year. Again, any nominations have to be voted on by the council. So if you want to nominate somebody, it's best to send it to me, but we don't have to have this done right now. They do like to have them done by April, but we can do them all the way up until sometime in June. So we've got plenty of time, but he had asked us to start putting the bug in everyone's ear. So again, that's going to be some type of volunteer service. We've had multiple recipients in the past who have done great things. We've had the Winslow Community Cupboard, we've had the volunteers for the cemetery. We've had some other people, and I apologize, they're not coming to mind right at the moment, but it's basically to recognize volunteerism in our community. So just be thinking about that, and if you have somebody in mind that you know you would like to nominate, just get them to me. Not outside discussion, but just get them to me, and then when I have lists, and there should be a little blurb about, you know, why you want to nominate whoever this is, or it could be a group. If you want to nominate a community group, you can do that, just like we did for the cemetery volunteers who cleaned up Fort Hill so nicely last year, so. That's what we all have on that.
I have just a question, Erica, on this. The nominees from last year, did they get anything? Do they get a certificate, or do they get anything acknowledging that they were recipients of the award?
There was a certificate that went out, I believe.
None of them as of this afternoon have received anything from last year.
Because Kenny Gearing, I got a certificate to give to him, I believe.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, was it 2 years?
We could follow up on that, if you wouldn't mind getting in touch with Bruce. I know one thing that to be gold status members, they want towns to actually do a ceremony at, they say their annual town meeting. Of course, we don't have annual town meetings, so it would be one of our council meetings where you publicly recognize the person, which is nice to do. You do up an actual certificate and give it to them, but I'm not sure. We can follow Bruce and find out why nobody from last year would have gotten them.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenny was the year before that. so-
All right, yeah. Time
Yeah,
flies.
Scott,
Yep.
yeah, with Higgins.
Yeah.
Any further discussion on the Spirit of America awards? Lisa, next on the agenda.
Next is items at Old Junior High.
This is
Erica?
me again. So, just because we're decommissioning that building now. We've pretty much got it winterized. I am starting to get some requests from people about minor type items that are attached to that building. I have a request from Chris Bernier for the old fallout shelter sign. He's willing to make a donation to get it. We've got all of the tiles that are in the building that we should probably, I know a lot of people feel very personally about those. We should probably look at giving those back to the people who painted them, put out, some kind of notice for that. But I guess I need to kind of get direction from the council. Do you want every item that we could potentially get rid of out of that, or that somebody has a desire to have? I mean, and some of it's not, a fallout shelter sign isn't really worth anything. It's a cool thing to have, right? So how do you put a dollar value on it? But how do you want to decide how these things should be disposed of if somebody wants them before we go to the actual demolition sometime down the road?
What is in there? Is there any big ticket items in there?
We
Anything,
pretty
the
much
kitchen stuff or
sold
anything?
everything that we could sell out of it. I know Shelley had gone through and kind of itemized things. A lot of it's not really worth anything. We did donate the cooler to the Winslow cupboard because they needed it. So we donated that. But I don't think so much that my ask is about the things that we could sell and make money off of, but more the things that don't really have a real monetary value. What's the monetary value of a ceiling tile that somebody painted back in 1988?
All I can
I
say
know-
is there's
I know.
thousands of ceiling tiles.
It was a lot of years they did that.
There was one specific tile in there that I signed 50 years ago, that if it's still there, I'd like to have. Now, there may be stuff like that in the school. Peter, I don't know how many students are still in your school that went to that school. Is it too many years past?
Oh, God, no.
Then I would say we put out some kind of publicity and invite anybody who wants anything out of there.
Well, if it's their
The-
tile,
if-
I
yeah.
think if they, I didn't go to Winslow, but I think when they left that school, they painted a tile and put it up there, correct? If it's their artwork, give it to them. I mean,
Did
it's
each
theirs.
student have their own tile, or was there multiple students on one tile?
Some of them, I think, have two on them.
I was gonna say, I thought.
So we might have to
Cut it in half.
cut them.
And who's gonna be responsible for taking them down?
Well, I think between Shelley and I, we could work out something that would work. Obviously, we don't want people coming at just random times and saying, hey, I want to get my tile. I think we'd have to have maybe a
them all
couple of
down and
days that
then-
we let people go in, and I don't know how that would work exactly, but between her and I, we could maybe work something out. But, I mean, this is not the first request I've gotten for things. The tiles come up periodically. I actually have gotten quite a few requests for those. And when I say quite a few, I'm talking, half a dozen, but enough that it sticks in my mind that there are people who want them, that feel personally about them. So, but, some people just want a piece of molding, or, it's kind of like, it's my souvenir. I went to the school, I love it. So how do we feel about that stuff? And, and I think, like the big W over the stage, that's gonna be salvaged for the school, correct? So we just need to make sure that I just wanna make sure that there's some direction about what needs to be kept. Because if it's gonna go under the wrecking ball, I'm not sure why we care all that much. It's just all more material we have to pay to dispose of, so. But we also kind of need to be fair about it if it's special items. And that's why Chris Bernier was saying he'd be more than happy to give a donation either to the town or the school for that sign. He thinks it would be a cool thing to have, but I don't know if there's somebody else out there who might want that sign. So I just was kind of looking for what your feelings are, and,
If there's a group of volunteers that want to go in, and this is just my suggestion, take the tile down, take a picture of it, number it, and then categorize, and then saying, put it on the website and say, or there when they come to pick up, your number is, and put them in piles of 20 or whatever, and then they can go to the pile and say, they can go onto the online thing and say, oh yeah, there's my picture is number 1,222, and they'll know exactly where that is. That's the only way I see that working with the multitude of tiles that's there and the stack of tiles that they would be. And if you have people pouring through them, I've took 2 tiles down about a couple years ago, and they're very fragile. They're not. I mean, if you took this down, you got people pouring through them, they're gonna really wreck them and stuff, I think. So they would have to, you'd have to get some volunteers to take them down, put them in some place. You gotta find a place, and I don't think it should be the junior high where they would come in.
Well, my thought process was more that we have a day that we advertise that this is our open house. You know where your tile is. If you want it, come take it. Rather than, you know, having to have a whole lot of labor-intensive stuff done on our part. I mean, Peter, how do you feel about that? I mean, I think this is kind of what Shelley and I discussed in the past, but
You had a conversation earlier this evening about Lisa's time and doing some work. What you're talking about, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of tiles, and like you said, Ray, a lot of them are going to just going to crumble when you try to take them down. You're talking safety issues of somebody going up down ladders, taking these things down. You're talking an incredible amount of time when somebody's parked to organize catalog, do all of that, and we simply don't have that manpower to do that. That's for sure. If it's volunteer, that's one thing, but.
Yeah, but if you let a volunteer on a ladder,
Liability.
liability is
Yeah.
horrendous.
How about if,
Or the kids.
you just take a picture of their tile? Would that satisfy you, instead of taking the whole tile down? Show up and take a picture of your tile.
or you
Other
have
than
to
that,
pre-register for your
It's gonna
event.
be, it's gonna be labor intensive for what results.
I'm just gonna,
I don't want mine.
I'm just gonna tell you my experience, and I think it's relevant in this particular case. So, we had, my stepdaughter Heather, actually got a grade to her. She painted 2 tiles that were there. We thought that we would want those tiles and that we would cherish them when we took them down. We took them down, brought them home, they crumbled, I threw them away, just because. And I don't think that a lot of people have a lot of sentimental value over those particular tiles. I just don't feel that, you know, if a volunteer group or something, I just don't feel that the effort myself is worth saving those tiles for people to come and just, what are you gonna do with it?
Well, if you take them down and catalog them, as Peter says, you're talking hundreds of hours.
And I say no, I say no, I say no, I say it's not worth the effort, any effort.
Well, then,
Yeah, I'm not actually talking about putting any effort in. I'm
What does
sorry
the
if
other
it's coming
councilors
off this
feel
way.
about-
I'm
What's the
talking
other-
about, you want it, come get it, you know where it is. I don't think we should be looking at doing anything with them or cataloging or anything.
So somebody would be available then to climb the ladder and take them down for those individuals?
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot of people. I think we could gauge it by, you know, kind of asking people to respond. Say, maybe we just put a survey out and say, how many of you would be interested in your tiles? Or if you're interested in your tile, contact the town manager or something like that.
So my son-in-law and my son-in-law and my daughter were at the house before I came to and I saw, hey, I think they're talking about the tiles here. Do you want your tile? And they said, yeah, we would be interested in our tiles. They weren't like overly, you know, oh, I need that tile or anything. So, I think if they had a couple days, then that would be up to them to come and we would make somebody available to get the tile for them, I guess. They knew exactly where it was.
So who's gonna pay for the liability insurance?
No, they aren't getting.
They're
up
not getting on the ladder.
We're-
We're gonna have somebody there, janitor or something, or somebody from the town that would
it would have
take
to
the
be-
tile down.
It would have to be a town employee.
There have to be a town employee to take the tile down.
And if you're talking, Let's say you have 200 people that say they
Well,
want those tiles.
and I
The
think we
tiles,
could-
they're crumbling, man, those, take those down,
They
they're,
just regular ceiling tile, I can't remember.
they're
Like
just
this.
regular ceiling tiles, and they're old, let me
Yeah,
tell you.
they are old.
My
They
guess
are.
is now that we've discussed this, people who are interested will probably start.
Publicize it,
Yeah.
throw it out on the
Yeah.
Facebook, on the page.
See what kind of feedback.
What
we get.
else is in the school?
Floorboards in the gym.
Peter can answer that question.
I would like a floorboard out of the gym.
Oh, they all came up on their own anyways.
Yeah, no, I spent my knees enough times on that floor.
So some of the things that we have in there is that in anticipation of costs going through the roof this year, we bought ahead with our supplies. When we purchased our supplies, we sometimes we just buy a few and then we order as we need them, but we bought ahead knowing we'd get the price that we could lock in earlier. So we have paper supplies in that building. We have lots of COVID test kits in that building. And we have lots of custodial supplies in that building. Now, if it's there for convenience for us, because it's near our building, we could move those materials over to Smiley's if need be, if you tell us we need to get that stuff out of there, we'll do that. That's what we have in there. The other thing the things that are in there is when we run into a situation, for instance, this past week, we did additional mats for safety. Those are expensive. So we repurposed what was in there that we could use to put in one of our buildings. So whatever's there, we just use to repurpose if we have a need, but there is nothing there really that we really need except for our supplies.
Well, no sense of moving them. We're not doing anything with it.
Oh, charge them rent.
Yeah, you gave it back.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I suppose we could discuss this all night, but the best bet is,
Publicize it.
could you
Let people-
publicize it, have an open house, and let people go through, walk through, and I want this, I want that, here's the list?
I think maybe the
And-
first thing to put out there is if you have an interest, and then maybe we can gauge what the interest level is before we say, hey, we're gonna have a, you know.
Okay, so we'll come up with something between, Lee?
Oh,
Sorry.
I thought we were going on to that same discussion item. I wanted to talk about the exterior of the building.
Oh, the exterior, there was a bunch of tables and chairs outside the building, on the back side of it, a month or so ago. A whole pile of chairs, furniture, whatever.
Yeah, I was notified by a couple residents that walked that Benton Avenue extension between the junior high and the superintendent's office. And when they walked by the building, they were concerned about a heap of probably 60, 70, looks like desk chairs, metal. You could tell that they had seats and desks. And that they were just kind of piled in a heap, and people were concerned about the safety of if kids were in the area or anything like that, or if there were any safety issues that could arise with it, and also with it looking like it was kind of like a dump area of old equipment, discarded equipment. And at the time, it was still warm enough out where there were, you know, folding chairs that were near the building, like people were taking breaks or whatnot, but they were concerned about it just not looking presentable. I mean, understandable, the building is gonna be, probably be coming down, but they were concerned about equipment, discarded equipment and whatever being left outside unattended.
I don't have an answer for you, but I can give one.
Okay. Thank you.
On this item, I saw a scene that there was a police class going on in that building last week. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, the state police use that building to train often. You'll see lots of state police cars there. We notify our parents that we have state police training there. They ask to use the building. You know, one of the things that I'm thinking about right now, Lee, is some of that stuff may have been moved so they could do a training exercise in there. I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you. But that happens on a regular basis, Jerry.
Fire department as well. We've been in there training as well.
With the state police using that, are we indemnified as a town if anybody gets hurt in there? Len, would you know the answer to that? No? I would have a problem with any entity other than town employees using that building for anything, unless we have legal indemnification, which Bill can probably back me up on. I don't think that's a good idea. No more than I think it's a good idea for kids to go up a step ladder and start taking tile. So if they ask again, Peter, I would ask for that indemnification. I'm sure they can provide it.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, is that a school property now or a town property?
It's a town property.
Yeah.
Well, who are they asking permission to use who did they who approved that?
It's gone on for years.
So Peter, they used to use the fire department for dog training. State police would come over.
So if the dog bit one of the firemen, who was responsible?
You never.
Yeah. No, listen, guys, I'm very sensitive to lawsuits. So I think in the future, before they use it again, just that, all we gotta do is ask for indemnification, Peter. They have a legal team, don't they, Bill?
Certainly do.
That will fall to you, Chief, because I don't have a contact for that. No one's ever contacted me about using any of our properties, so.
They never contacted me.
And because I'm sure they're used to just using it at this point,
So
so
how do they get in?
they,
If they just go willy-nilly and use it when they want to, how do they get in?
Scott?
I don't let them in. We use Shelley as a contact person. We placed a key for the panel locks.
But
in
you're
the
a
Knox
town
box, but
entity.
They wouldn't have access to the Knox box. They couldn't get the key, so it would have to be her.
Well, that can be looked into if the situation comes up again. As far as other items in the junior high, we had enough on that for tonight?
Yep.
Okay, Lisa, next agenda?
We have one item left, and it's communications with town attorney.
again, I asked for this one. And we have had some instances where individual counselors are going to O'Donnell Lee with questions. I have a little bit of heartburn with that. I believe it should go through the town manager unless I'm the subject that you're going to the attorney about, for a couple of reasons. When there's a question of the town attorney about general town business, that's something that I really need to be on top of and aware of. I'm not going to say no, but generally I will follow up for you. There's also a budget that needs to be adhered to, which none of you are actually like right on top of to the minute, know where we're at on that budget. And it really should be that all of you agree that somebody's gonna go to the town attorney before any one of you goes to the town attorney. My understanding is this did not happen a whole lot in the past. Bill gave me some indication that it had, but use of the town attorney for questions should not be random or, what's the word I'm looking for?
Haphazard.
Yes. There should be some indication that that's what we're going to do. As a group, if you're saying, hey, we want to go to Bill about this subject, I mean, normally you all charge me to do that, and I go to Bill and I say, you know, Bill, please give me an opinion on this, or we want to know if we can do this, or what's the legal reasoning behind this. So I guess, I mean, I work at your behest. You all give me direction, but I have a bit of a problem with those communications not happening through my desk.
As you should.
Bill, it looked like you had something to.
Me?
Yes.
That's entirely at the council's discretion.
My opinion is this, folks, that if a council,
I'll get it.
combination of councils, any councilors, want to speak with the town attorney, they should be giving the town manager some professional courtesy in notifying the town manager that they, or he or she, wants to ask the town attorney some questions. I think that's step number one. Erica can say yes, or Erica can say no. Whether we then have to follow that, that means, that's different. But the professional courtesy should be that it goes to the town manager first. And if Erica says, I can find those answers out for you, fine. Other than that,
Yep.
that would be a decision that this council makes. That should be the proper procedure. We can recommend it ourselves. I don't know, we can, it's not a resolution. It would probably fall under the rules of procedure of this council that we have drawn up here and there and along. And draw it up as a resolution if the council sees fit, if the council wants to head in that direction. That the town that all contact with the town attorney first goes through at least a professional courtesy for the town manager. That would be my suggestion.
I agree with that, and I think it should be written up in a resolution. So it's in writing, it's clear. Bill knows it, Erica knows it, we know it. What's everybody else's opinion?
Question to the chair. This is not the first time this has happened in the little town of Winslow. Other municipalities must have had this type of thing happen, Bill. What's your opinion on this situation, or?
Depends on the size of the community. If you're dealing with a board of selectmen, 3-member board, they generally just, any one of them will go straight to legal counsel if they want to, okay? And it's usually coordinated easily that way. But otherwise, it varies. I haven't found the frequency of contact to be that great, but Eric had asked me, and I'd say over time, from time to time, a counselor would contact me to ask me about something. Very simple for me. If the council says we would like the professional courtesy of contact with the town manager first, then if I'm contacted by a counselor, what I will say is, if you let the town manager know that we're going to be talking.
Yeah, right.
And if I get a no, I'm going to say, then please contact the town manager, and then we can talk after that if it seems appropriate. So I'm fine. You're the council. You direct how the flow of communication is. The only exception to that is, as Erica pointed out, would be if the counselor wants to has something about the town manager and wants to have a conversation, or a couple of counselors do, they probably, that would be the exception. So it's really at the council's discretion.
Whenever I have had issues that I thought we needed legal advice, I always asked the town manager to clarify those issues. That was just my procedure, saying, hey, Erica, do you mind if, or in past administrations, that's what I've always done, is first of all go through the town manager. The only time I didn't do that, I did not do that once, I think, Bill, in the past, and I think I made that mistake, but then realized it. I think Bill said, hey, you know what I mean? Do you remember that?
No.
Do you recall that? But it did, but.
But I mean, if somebody calls me, I'm not necessarily going to say, have you spoken to the town manager? Now, if this is the council's position, the next time I get a call, I'll say, hey, have you spoken to the town manager? I mean, it's a very, very easy thing for me to do. Different communities, to further answer your question, different communities have different policies. It's not like it's all one way or the other.
It's my opinion that we should go through the town council, the town manager, and maybe notify the chairman and the town manager. And then if a council goes to Bill, then I think Bill should say, have you talked to the town
Yeah.
manager?
If that's your direction,
those are my
very happy
things.
to. That's easy enough.
I think that's just courtesy.
I agree with Ray and Dale. Well, I mean, for numerous reasons. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, Erica has the answer to the question and/or can guide us in the right direction. Or, why would we go to Bill and then she gets blindsided with something that isn't, I don't think that's proper protocol.
Well, consensus of the council then, that we'll draft a resolution for our next meeting to the effect that all contact between the council and the town attorney must go through the town manager first.
And also in that resolution should be, if contacted by a counselor, then the attorney, the town attorney, should ask, have you contacted, should insist that before discussion that you contact the town manager. I think that has to be in the resolution
Well,
too.
listen, if you tell me something, that's all you
Well,
do.
you want-
If you want to put it in front of me,
you want
it's
it to go
fine.
both
I've got a
ways.
pretty
Well-
good memory, so I'm not going to forget if a counselor calls me to ask, hey, did you talk to Erica about this, okay? So.
You're a
No,
young man
but-
now,
but
Bill,
attorney-
you can change.
But managers change,
Down the road.
counselors
probably a good idea.
change,
But the
and
question
attorneys
has to go,
change.
the question has to go to the town manager first. If the council disagrees with the town manager, then they can go to the town attorney.
Well, the way the charter is written, as we all know, the town attorney is hired by the council.
Yeah.
I mean, legally, town manager, he can't tell us not to.
Yes.
But let's use manners for one thing, and number two, professional courtesy. We also hire her. Now, if we're gonna go behind her back and call Bill Lee about things, come on now. Step up to the plate and be business people.
So draft the resolution, folks.
And just for clarification, anytime I have been contacted, I send an
Yeah.
email to
Oh,
Erica
absolutely.
to the effect that I've had a conversation so that there's nobody left out of the loop.
As you would be expected to.
Yeah, so, I'm fine.
Right. Can
You
you-
tell me, and
let's do it.
I've got a pretty good memory, I'll remember.
Take a show of hands.
So consensus is on the council. Great show of hands. Rocky?
Yeah, I got it.
Jerry?
Raise my hand.
Yeah, unanimous.
Okay.
Does that satisfy you?
Yeah, I'll draft something for the next council meeting for you all to vote.
And have it carefully reviewed by the town attorney.
Yes, I will.
Before it's presented.
Yes, I will.
And one of the big issues, I don't mean to prolong this, but Erica brought up was the budget. You know, we approve a budget, and historically, we go over on legal because of circumstances that we can't control.
Well,
But
Bill's
ones we
agreed.
can control, let's pay attention.
Bill, you're gonna agree not to go over budget, aren't you, even if we do?
Oh, excuse me, I can't hear you.
His hearing's going.
Yeah, it's shot.
The memory's great, though.
Lisa, anything else on the agenda?
There is nothing else on the agenda.
The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Show of hands. Unanimous.